Alright guys, so in previous videos we were navigating through a scene. Pretty simple on how to open up a scene, right? You just go to here, you say File, and then Open, and then that will bring us to either the scenes that we have created, or you can go to the pre-selected scenes that they have created. You just double click on it, it opens up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create something like this. So let me just double click on this with the left mouse and then zoom out here. So we're going to create something like this where we have 3 conveyors, one on either side here, and then a center turntable in the center. So we are following along with right here, navigated. We just figured out how to open up a scene. And the next thing is creating a scene. So we're going to build up to this image right here. And the next thing is we're going to try and control it in the next video. But this video will simply be about how do you create this scene by picking all of our things from the side, bring them in, and getting them to work properly. So let's open up a new one, right? So we'll just go File, New, and we'll get a blank slate here. And let's just walk through these steps here that they've given us for creating a scene. So it says Factorio includes a large selection of parts inspired by the most common industrial equipment. You create a virtual factory by placing and arranging these parts together. By following the next steps, you will learn how to create a simple sorting system. Okay, so click on File, then choose New, okay, which we just did to create an empty scene. On the toolbar, select the orbit camera. You should use the orbit camera when editing. If the palette's not visible, click on the palette icon. So let's go back to here. So if this guy is not visible, then you can click on that and that'll bring up all of our bits and pieces that we can work with. We're going to be working with this guy right here, the orbit camera. So if you were by chance on another camera like this fly camera, then go to the orbit camera. This is the kind of the base camera that we're supposed to be using when we're building things. Okay, what's the next thing to do? Choose heavy load parts category from the palette and left click and drag a heavy roller, a 2-meter heavy roller into the scene. Okay, let's do that now. So we're going to heavy load parts and then we're going to grab the palette. So let's see, we're in all right now. Let's click here. We'll go to heavy load parts. Beautiful. And we're looking for a 2-meter conveyor. So we're going to grab this bad boy. So we're left clicking here and you can see that I've grabbed that guy. And then we'll drop it onto the factory floor. Excellent. Okay, next thing we're going to do, it says when a new part is created, becomes selected, indicated by a white bounding box. When you drag and select part, it will move on the horizontal plane and place it vertically. To move it vertically, press the V key and drag. Okay, so let's go back to here because we can. Let's double click and zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we can grab it here and we can move it horizontally back and forth along this grid. But say we were building something and we wanted to lift this up a touch, then we press down on the V key and then we should be able to click on this guy and that's zooming. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, there we go. So I'm pressing and holding the V key, then using the left mouse button to grab it. And at that point, I can't move it horizontally, but I can move it vertically and I can lift it up and down. So I guess if we left it there, it'd just be floating in the middle of the shop floor. Okay. If we wanted to drop her down, then we'll press the V key again, left click down, and then bring it down to the shop floor. And there we go. Looks good. Okay. Then just by grabbing it, we can then move it around horizontally. Beautiful. And then the nice thing is that whenever you click on it, that grid sets up and then you can place it right on that grid. So you can line it up with a number of different items that are there. Okay, guaranteed if you're like me, you will forget how to do that. So just think, all right, I need to move this. Primarily if you're moving like a skid or something and you want to drop it onto this conveyor, then you need to press the V key, right? And then using the left mouse button, then you can lift it up and lift it down. Okay, but again, when you forget, just think, all right, am I moving this horizontally, vertically? And you literally just have to hit the V in order to move it vertically. All right, let's see what we're doing next. Okay, so we dropped that guy on there. We've been able to use that V key, so let's scroll down here. Number 4, set the camera point of interest on the edge of the conveyor by double left clicking on it. Next, zoom in with the mouse wheel to get a little closer. Most parts will be created at the height of the point of interest, except those which are typically placed on the floor, such as conveyors, racks, stairs, and etc. Okay, so we're supposed to double left click and then zoom in with the mouse wheel. Okay, so we're coming over here to our factory IO. We're going to double left click, and remember, by double left clicking, then it creates that point of axes there. And then we're going to right click, and at that point you can see that dot there, and that's our reference. Like if I move this around, that dot is now my reference for rotating around. But it said to zoom in, so we're going to just get up a touch, and then using our mouse roller, we're going to zoom into that point, and that's as close as we can get now. Okay, let's see what we're doing next. Okay, on the palette, select the sensors category and left click and drag a diffuse sensor. While holding the left mouse button down, place the sensor at the edge of the conveyor. Okay, so we have to use a diffuse sensor. We're left clicking, using the left mouse button and dropping it into the edge of the conveyor. Okay, diffuse sensor. Let's find that on our factory IO. Okay, so we're in the heavy load part, so we need a sensor. So we're going to go here either to all or just to sensors here. Okay, we need a diffuse. So when I was looking at this, I'm like, I don't understand. When you hover over these things, they don't like pop out and say, you know, this is an inductive sensor, and this is a diffuse sensor, and this is a capacitive sensor. So where are the names for each of these guys? Well, if you look right down here, of course, the name has just disappeared. But right here, when I hover over each of these sensors, there you can see capacitive sensor, diffuse sensor, which is the one we need, inductive sensor, retroreflective sensor, right? So everything is there. We just have to look in this bottom left-hand corner there. Okay, so we need a diffuse sensor. And again, we're going to left click on this guy. We're going to drag that bad boy over. And then we're just going to drop, easy now, we're just going to drop it onto the side of the conveyor and let go. And that's good. Let's double left click on the conveyor here. And then I'm going to zoom out to see what that looks like. Cool. Right on. Okay, so we've got that diffuse sensor. If you forget how a diffuse sensor works, a diffuse sensor, let's just zoom into this bad boy. A diffuse sensor has a transmitter and a receiver. It sends the light out, so it sends an infrared light beam out, smacks into whatever object is there, then the light is diffused back, you know, in various different angles, but the diffused light comes back and goes to the receiver and trips off this sensor. Excellent. Okay, so that's set up. Let's see what we're doing next. Okay, so we've got this guy in there. Let's scroll down. Right click on the diffuse sensor and select duplicate. Left Alt. Let's see if we can do that from the context menu. Next, move the duplicate sensor to the other side of the conveyor. Okay, so left Alt should do a duplicate now. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so now we need to make a duplicate sensor. So I'll show you what I just did. If I tried to grab this, I pressed the Alt button, and then I left clicked with the left mouse button, and then let's see, Alt and this guy. No, oh, what's going on? There we go. So I pressed Alt and then clicked on here, and all of a sudden created a whole other 2-meter conveyor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this bad boy. Then I'm just going to hit backspace. Whoa, backspace brings you out. Maybe I hit delete. Click on this guy and then delete. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's zoom in again. So that was kind of cool though. Let's see what happens. If I hit backspace, oh, backspace brings you like right out. So if you need to delete something, then use delete. Backspace brings you out to a bird's eye view. Okay, good to know. So we need to zoom into this bad boy. and we said that we're going to create another sensor. So what we need to do is just zoom in here, and then we have to click on this guy until you see a box around it. And then you've actually selected the sensor rather than the conveyor. And now I can hit the Alt key and left click on this guy. And then at that point, you're like, maybe I made another sensor. I can't really tell. But you can see here that there's red, this red hue around here. And you might just be able to make out that there are two different tag numbers superimposed on each other. So we have created another sensor. It's telling us that one is sitting on top of the other because it's got that red hue to it. So I'm going to left mouse click on it and then drag it over. Oh, yes, there we go. Okay, let's give ourselves a little bit of room to work with. Okay, so we're going to zoom out here. Let me choose there we go, the middle of the conveyor. And now let me grab this guy and I'll bring this guy over and then mount it on the side of the conveyor. Let's see if I can pull it back just, I guess that's the best I can do, right? Okay, so let's see. Let's double click on this guy and then zoom in. Okay, looks good. Mounted right on the side of the conveyor. That's mint. Okay, and basically at the same point as the other guy. Let's take a look at the other one on the other side there. So we'll double click on this guy and zoom in. There we go. And again, that guy's mounted right on the side of the conveyor and looks good. They're both pointing in the same direction. Okay. What you want to keep track of is, if you can see over here on this side of the conveyor, let me just zoom in here. That arrow right there is going to tell you the direction of the conveyor. So on previous times of building this guy up, I put my sensor on top of this guy and then I couldn't tell which direction the conveyor was going. So when you're putting your sensor on there, just make sure to place it on the side that's opposite of the arrow, because that is, I believe, yeah, that's the only place where they have that arrow to note the direction of that conveyor when we turn that guy on. Okay, so now that we've done that duplicate sensor, we're on to number 7. Select all the parts with the rectangular selection tool by left-clicking on the scene background and drawing a rectangle intersecting all parts to be included in the selection. You can group parts together, which will allow you to easily select, move, rotate, and duplicate them at once. Right-click on the top of the selection and choose Group, Control-G. At any moment, you can ungroup by right-clicking and then ungroup with Control-G again. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so I want to highlight everything here, and then I'm going to right-click on that guy, and then I'm going to group those bad boys together. Beautiful. Now when I grab this, yes, everything moves together. The sensors and the conveyor move together. Let's grab everything again. Let's right-click, and we'll ungroup. And if we've ungrouped, then I should be able to just grab, go here, just grab the sensor and move it on its own. Okay, so the difference between grouping and ungrouping is that right now, if I try to grab this conveyor and move the conveyor, nothing comes with me, right? So what I need to do is I need to highlight everything by holding down the left mouse button. Then I'm going to right click and I'm going to group all those guys together. And now when I grab the conveyor, everything comes with me. Excellent. Okay. So now I'm able to move the sensors and the conveyor together. What's the next thing we're doing? Okay. With the previous group selected, right-click and on any part and choose Duplicate. Move the newly created group to a valid position and repeat the process. So you end up with 3 groups of conveyors and sensors. When a red box surrounds groups or parts, it means they are intersecting each part and will be destroyed when switching from Edit to Run mode. Okay, cool. So we'll go back to here, and we're going to highlight everything here. Right-click, and we'll create a duplicate. Okay, so that was the same as that sensor before, right? As soon as you move it over here, it's no longer red. But if it's sitting on top of each other, I'm not sure whether one or both get destroyed during the run. Interesting. Now I can't even put it on top. So once I've moved it away from it, I can't put it on top of it. Okay, so I got 2 conveyors now. And if I just grab this guy once again, right click and duplicate that guy. Beautiful. Now I got three different conveyors now. Beautiful. Okay, so now I gotta put them in a position that matches with the diagram that we were starting with. Okay. Select all from the palette category, drag a turntable into the scene, and place it in front of one of the conveyors. To properly place, oh, but I haven't done this yet. I have to put these three together, right? And then I'm going to put this guy in there. So, and it looks like off of this diagram that they're showing, looks like the direction is going in, right? And then this guy's, can't see it. This direction is, looks like out, maybe possibly. And this guy's probably out as well. Okay, so let's grab those three different conveyors. So let's zoom out a bit so we can work with them. The direction is right here, so I can see that this guy, easy enough, this guy right here is moving forwards. You can just make that out on the screen. Okay, then this one, in order to rotate this 90 degrees, I have to use the yaw. Yaw! There we go. So we'll move that guy around. And most likely if we have the box coming in here, we're going to want this going in the opposite direction, right? There we go. So that this would be drawn out. Okay, looks good. So I'm going to drop that guy right in there. I don't know if I've got enough room for that turntable yet. Okay, now this one right here, you can see the direction. Again, the direction is right there. Okay, so we're going to take this bad boy and let's zoom out just a touch more so we can see what we're doing. Let's move this over here. Then let's yaw it. There you go. Okay, cool. So that's going to be moving that part out in this direction. Let's move that over, and I'm wondering if that's just a little bit too tight for that turntable. Let's grab that turntable next. Okay, because our next thing that it says is select all from the palette category list. Drag a turntable into the scene and place it in front of the conveyors. To properly place the other two conveyors at each side of the turntable, you have to rotate them first, which is what we did, by right-clicking on the conveyor and clicking the yaw button to rotate it. Most parts allow only rotations of 90 degrees. Sensors can rotate freely around the local up axis. Okay, cool. So we have to grab this turntable. Okay, and we've already looked at the fact that we have that flow on each of these guys. Okay, so next thing is the turntable. It said that we have to click on here, go to all, and then scroll down. That looks like it right there. Okay, and remember the name is going to come up right here. So turntable, nice. I'm going to right click on that guy, drag it in, and yeah, she's a little bit too tight. Okay, so let's put that guy there. Let's grab this guy, move it, come on, move it out of the way. Move this guy out of the way. Okay, grab the turntable, drop that guy in until we made up with this guy. Looks good. Okay, and then we'll jam this conveyor up against the turntable. Looks good. And finally, this guy goes right here. Very cool. Excellent. Okay, I've done a lot, so I'm going to save this guy. What are we going to call this? Turntable. Beautiful. Okay, looks good. Okay, next thing, what are we doing? Finally, select the items category and place a pallet on top of the first conveyor. Now that your work is done, oh, I was getting a little bit nervous because we had done a lot, and it looks like we're right at the end here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to manually control this scene. So let's do this finally. Finally, select the items categories, place a pallet on top of the first conveyor. Now that your work is done, click save, give it a name, and then move on. Okay, beautiful. So last thing we got to do here, guys, is we're going to grab a pallet. This guy looks good here, the pallet, and the other one is square pallet. Whatever. That's cool. Grab this guy. Now again, this doesn't seem to be going up on top of the conveyor. Okay, so we've got to work on that vertical placement, right? So let's zoom in here. Okay, let's get it so we can see where it is. Beautiful. And you can see that this is jamming up against the back of the conveyor. So we've got to lift it up. It looks like it's already selected for the vertical. Let's see. No. Okay, so what do I have to press? V for vertical, right? And I got to lift this bad boy up. Very nice. Okay, then I let go of the V and then move the pallet over top of my conveyor. Very nice. Okay, and then hitting the V again, I'm going to drop that bad boy. Come on. V, and maybe it's sitting right on top of it already. Seems like that's the lowest it can go, eh? Okay, beautiful. So I'll double click here and then take a look. And it seemed all right from that perspective, but that's still a little bit messed. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, let's grab this guy. Let's move it over. Okay, maybe I was right on top of that sensor now. I'll hit V and oh, easy now, just lost it. Okay, so it must have been on top of that sensor, and that's why it wasn't allowing me to bring it over. Looks good. We can move this over just a touch. Come on. Okay, whatever. That's cool. And then let's put a box on top of there as well. Okay, so it's in the background there. Let me just grab it. The cool thing is that you can, when you're simulating this, you can grab the boxes and just throw them around. Okay, so we'll bring this guy over. Bring her closer. Looks good. Okay, let's double left click on the conveyor. Let's zoom in here. Let's get it at a perspective that we can actually see everything. Okay, looks good. Maybe we can just grab this guy, press the V, lift this guy up. Okay, looks good. And then, I don't know if it just needs, oh, that's nice. Okay, right on. I'll hit V again and drop that guy on there. Move it into the center there. Beauty. Okay, and then let's take a look. Cool. Right on. Looks fairly centered. Let's just zoom back a bit and make sure everything's cool. Nice. So our conveyor is fairly centered there. Our box is set up. And we are ready to rock and roll with the next portion. So what we're going to do next, guys, is we're going to control everything here. So we're going to grab our tags here for the conveyor, and we'll see if we can move this pallet over here with this box over to the turntable, have the turntable turn, and then bring it over to the next conveyor and bring this over to here. But that'll be on the next video. All right, guys, thanks for your patience. Hopefully that helped you out to create that scene. And now you've got a good idea of how to mount everything both in the horizontal and the vertical axes. And you've been able to go through all of your bits and pieces here and grab each of the conveyors, being able to turn this 90 degrees, drop in your turntable, drop in a pallet, and then drop a box on top. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video.